Okay, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to reframe something you probably think you know inside and out: the printing press. Johannes Gutenberg's 1450 invention is famously known as a literary and religious revolution, right? But today, we're going to dive into its secret identity as the unsung catalyst for modern legal engineering. So, here is the absolutely crucial question we're going to unpack today. How did a 15th century printing press invent modern computer code? We're going to connect 15th century parchment directly to 21st century blockchain and show you how the quest to make human agreements more precise ultimately birthed the digital world as we know it. Section 1. Law's slippery memory. The slippery memory of judges and elders. Before the 1450s, the law wasn't some neatly bound book you could just pull off a dusty library shelf. It was highly fluid. It lived almost entirely in the subjective, totally slippery memory of humans. Talk about an era of chaos, right? Laws were predominantly oral, deeply regional, and highly ambiguous because they relied so heavily on shifting community traditions. And on the rare occasions when things actually were written down, hand-copied manuscripts were incredibly scarce and completely plagued by transcription errors. Without a fixed medium, human relationships and legal customs were constantly shifting, misremembered, and frankly just impossible to scale. Which brings us to Section 2, the print revolution. Well, everything completely changed around 1450. The printing press introduced four revolutionary superpowers to the legal world: volume, rapid dissemination, physical fixity, and standardization. By mechanically stamping uniform statutes and abridgments right onto the page, the press literally locked the law into place. For the very first time, a lawyer in one town could look at the exact same words on the exact same page as a judge in a totally different town. Section 3. Birthing legal hermeneutics. Because printers were suddenly cranking out standardized, uniform statutes, the entire culture of law shifted. It gave birth to legal hermeneutics, which is the formal study of analyzing what exact printed words mean. Lawyers completely stopped debating these vague historical customs. Instead, they started pointing at a physical book and asking, okay, but what do these specific words actually mean? The precision of language became their ultimate tool. Section 4. Wet custom to dry code. So the really crucial point here is that this new obsession with exact text created a massive conceptual leap. We moved away from wet law, fluid human memory, ambiguous social dynamics, and organic community relationships, and transitioned into dry code. Print gave us standardized statutes, rigid textual literalism, and mechanical execution. The law was no longer about soft social dynamics. It was newly engineered to be highly pedantic and precise. Section 5. The computational law era. And what's just absolutely fascinating is how this exact textual literalism paved the way for our digital world. Tracing the medium of law, we go from 1450, when Gutenberg standardizes text, straight to 1969. That's when Harvard lawyer Charles Goldfarb, working over at IBM, realized document creation mapped directly to the red line drafting of contracts. His legal markup language literally laid the foundation for HTML. Fast forward to the 1990s, and cryptographer Nick Szabo mapped classical contract law directly to computer networks, pioneering what we now call smart contracts. This represents a profound paradigm shift. Think about it. All human cultures naturally generate laws, and eventually a highly literate class of people becomes the stewards of those laws. But through computation, that highly literate class evolved once again. They became actual engineers of precise, machine-readable legal language. This whole engineering evolution started back in the 1970s by blending legal reasoning directly with software design. Over the decades, this scaled up into blockchain law and ultimately into decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs, where computer code actively holds binding legal implications. Enter Nick Szabo. He realized that computers could perfectly handle foundational legal concepts, like a meeting of the minds, through deterministic dry code. By embedding contractual clauses directly into software and hardware, he successfully translated wet common law into dry digital execution. This automates enforcement, makes breach of contract prohibitively expensive, and effortlessly bypasses all those conflicting local legal codes. Now you might be wondering, why does this matter to me? Well, here's the big takeaway. The sheer scale of what this legal precision achieved is staggering. The foundational work of legal technical innovators like Goldfarb and Szabo directly underpins today's $20 trillion global digital economy. The markup language of the web and the trustless environments of the blockchain only exist because legal minds actively sought to perfectly mechanize and standardize our agreements. So, as we stand on the brink of an entirely new era where AI can rapidly map out all extant legal relationships, something no single human lawyer could ever hope to do, we have to ask ourselves this final provocative question. If the printing press mechanized the word and smart contracts engineered the code, what happens when AI fully automates the law? Will we finally achieve total frictionless legal abundance? Or will we lose the essential human element of our social contracts entirely? It's a truly fascinating frontier. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll leave you to think on that.